Hey, what's up everyone? My name's Miguel. Welcome to Climbing Vlog. For anyone that's new here, hi, welcome, subscribe. Last May, I moved from Southern California to San Francisco. It was a fun opportunity, and I got to keep my job. But I hadn't climbed, surfed, snowboarded, or even seen my friends since then. So, amidst the hustle of the holidays, we set aside a weekend to go climbing in Nevada. For those of you that have been watching Climbing Vlog for a while may know, Red Rocks is one of my favorite places to climb. The sandstone is soft on the skin, the climbs have actual holds, and the approaches, for the most part, are pretty straightforward. We made it to Red Rocks Friday evening, but by the time we got there, the sun had already gone down. I just sat through a flight from San Francisco to LA, and then a car ride from LA to Nevada, and was way too stoked to finally be there with my friends. I didn't want to wait any longer. So we grabbed our headlamps and climbing gear. I forgot to pack my headlamp. And made our way into Krafty boulders for a light night climbing sesh to warm up for the rest of the weekend. Saturday we got up early and made our way into the scenic loop for a day of sport climbing. We stopped at the Calico Hills first pullout and initially planned to go to Pandy Wall. During the hike there, we overheard a fairly large group passing by say that they were headed to the same destination, so instead we went to our backup spot, just a little left of Pandy Wall, called the Hamlet. It's an 85-foot wall with sport climbs that range from 5'6" to 5'12"B. We were just warming up, so we didn't get on anything harder than 5'9". I didn't get many videos this day, but did get a lot of fun pictures. We climbed about 3 or 4 routes before packing up to see if the group at Pandy Wall were doing the same. Luckily for us, they were. Pandy Wall, another good warm-up area, is about 65 feet tall, with sport climbs that range from 5'6" to 5'12"B. We wanted to make sure we had enough stamina for the rest of the week, so we stayed under 5'9" to finish off the rest of our warm-up. Leaving Pandy Wall behind, we started our trek towards our last spot of the day, Dog Wall, about 40 feet tall, with sport climbs ranging from 5'8" to 5'12"B. We knew we only had a little time left before the sun set, so when we got there, we quickly set our gear down at the bottom of 2 5'10"Bs. We started on catwalk. I was the first to lead the climb that day, and holy crap, were my arms ready to be done for the day. I was breathing heavy right at the first move, and really doubting that I could make it to the anchors without falling or taking. Every time I thought I was stuck, or couldn't hold on for much longer, I'd find a spot that was juggy enough to rest and shake out my arms. Sport climbing takes so much more endurance than bouldering, and I was not in peak climbing shape, so I was so excited to finally clip the anchors with no falls or takes. My arms were completely pumped when I finished, so much so that I couldn't close my hand to make a fist, untie my knot, or even take off my shoes. So I rested for a bit, aka untied pathetically slow, because I'm impatient, and I wanted my friends to get a chance to climb before we ran out of light. My friend Corey led the next route, Pleasure Dog, just one route right of catwalk. I briefly considered leading it as well, but decided to go up on top rope instead, and oh man, am I glad I did. My arms were killing me during this climb. The holds weren't too bad, but as soon as I started, I couldn't stop moving. Otherwise, I 100% would have fallen off. My arms are too tired to even pause while climbing, and there's no way I could have taken the extra time to clip into the draws on the way up. My friend said it looked like I ran up pretty easily, but inside, I struggled hard to not let my arms become wet noodles. Sunday morning, we went back to Krafty boulders. We climbed all over a couple of warm-up boulders before making our way to the Fluffer, a V2 with a couple of pretty long moves that my friend Vel Mel was working on, which also happened to be just a few feet left of a problem that I've been working on over the years called donkey punch right. I kept my climbing shoes off, didn't put a pad under it, and tried to pretend it wasn't there because I knew my stamina was low. It's a height dependent problem, and after getting super pumped the day before, I was really trying to make sure I didn't burn out too early. But alas, its allure caught the eyes of my friends who padded the landing, started working it, and gave me the peer pressure I needed to hop back on. Just as I remembered, the climb is hard and takes so much tension just to stay on. Even the first right hand move. If you don't stay tight and keep your weight steady over your right foot, then you're coming down. The feet are really thin, and the guidebook says it's height dependent, which should deter me as I'm not in the height category, but its height dependent nature just makes me want to top it out even more. So I ended up putting some attempts in and even managed to stick a new high point with some different beta. Probably not the right beta, but definitely different. Pretty quickly, I started to feel sloppier on the opening moves, so I decided to call it quits on donkey punch for now. From there, we made our way towards potato chip and monkey bars to find crowds that were a little bigger than we wanted to be in, so we went a little further down the trail to pork chop instead. Pork chop is a V3. I don't know if I never read enough of the description or if when eyeballing the climb it looked too hard, but turns out there's a V4 variation of pork chop that starts on the big underclinging bulge. Since I've climbed pork chop before, I felt I could risk losing the day flash and try something a little different. Pork chop is tricky because you naturally want to climb it more as a lie back, but the feet don't really support it, so instead you've got to mix in some slab climbing, staying close to the wall and using the right arete more for balance while you bring your feet higher. The reach across to the left arete is always really scary. You feel so high off the ground, and you are pretty high. You have to commit to throwing your hand across to the left arete while standing hard enough that you reach full extension, but not so hard that you end up cutting feet. It felt good to get it first try that day, especially because that meant I didn't have to try that long reach again. I don't think the V4 variation added on much more difficulty, but that's rock climbing, you know? Easy for me is sometimes difficult for others, and difficult for me has often been easier for others. As Monday rolled in, we were all pretty beat, but knew we had a shorter day ahead of us since we had to get back to California, and I had a flight to catch back to San Francisco. With the weekend crowds gone, we were able to spend our last day hitting a few popular spots. We started our day at Potato Chips, a V2 that goes up a fairly steep overhang on crimps and tops out over the lip with a few disguised good holds to help you get over the top. I had a personal grudge against Potato Chips because I'd come here last March when I was mostly cleared by my physical therapist to start climbing again, and I couldn't top it out. So there was no way I was going to walk away defeated again. A few boulders down was the Pearl, a classic V5 that sits in the sun morning to evening. I gave it a few tries, but didn't make a lot of progress. The Pearl is pretty strenuous on your tendons. Your left hand starts in a pocket that has to support all of your weight while making a big move to a small edge above. My fingers started to feel that strain, and the boulder was getting too hot, so we rounded the corner to a little one-move wonder called Jenna's Jewelry. I've climbed this problem before, and was expecting to nail it first try, show off in front of my friends, but I could not figure out which foot I used to get up. The more obvious chalked feet were decent, but I could only reach just under the lip, and I remember being able to grab the top while keeping a foot on. So I knew I was doing something wrong. After way more frustrating attempts than it should have taken, I finally found the right foot, made the move, and finished the climb. Our last stop for the weekend was monkey bars. Of all the times I've climbed in Red Rocks and craft boulders specifically, this is only the second time I've ever climbed it. With no crowds or ocean of crash pads, we set our pads down where we felt there would be the most likely chance of a fall. I think my beta was a little different than when I first did it back in 2016, but I was stoked to get it on my first try. It's a fairly long boulder problem. The beginning is pretty juggy, but still took enough energy out of me that the last few moves felt a little spicier than I was anticipating. I tried Hyperglide, and I tried monkey bars direct, but my body was telling me I was done. My friends tried a few more climbs before we packed it in and made our way back to Orange County, to San Francisco, and back home. And that was our trip to Red Rocks. Thanks for hanging out. If you've stuck around, make sure to hit the subscribe button. It's a free, easy way to support the channel, and if you've already subscribed, thank you. I'm Miguel with ClimbingVlog, and I'll see you next time. Hey, while these recommendations come by, check out some of the other activities I've been practicing along with climbing. Click a video to see more ClimbingVlog and hit the subscribe button. It's easy. I mean, unless you don't think you can do it. But I believe in you. I've always believed in you. You can do it. Subscribe.